My son Chris started his tree business called Climb Pro Expert Tree Care after Hurricane Florence. Chris has all the equipment and manpower to take on even the most challenging jobs. With over 20 years of combined experience, Climb Pro LLC can safely remove any unwanted hazardous trees from your property. They also offer tree pruning, elevation, deadwood removal, and other expert tree care services. Don't wait until you have a tree emergency. Visit climbpro.com, that's climb with a K. Check them out on Facebook or call Chris Marcley at 910-540-5249. Mention this ad for a 10% discount.
Bringing you the best local talk radio shows, Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7 FM, WFBT, Carolina Beach.
Welcome to Recovering Hope. My name is Mark Marcley, and I'm here to share stories of hope, of recovery, and some experiences many have had that ended up as a tragedy. In all these scenarios, we have and will continue to learn from people from all walks of life, from all over our great country. Drug addiction, drug abuse, and drug poisonings are all too common, and attention needs to be given to the resources that are available to you no matter where you live. That is our mission. Recovering Hope is a division of Prodigal Recovery, which is a local group home for men here in Wilmington, North Carolina. Prodigal Recovery is a nonprofit 501c3 corporation. If you would like to help support our efforts with a tax-deductible donation or become a sponsor of this program, please contact us at prodigalrecovery.org. You can also call anonymously 910-338-3795.
A hallelujah in the presence of my enemies. I raise a hallelujah louder than the unbelief.
Good evening and welcome once again to Recovering Hope. I hope you like my new open there. I find myself saying almost the same thing at the beginning of every show, so the magic of radio, we were able to pre-record that. And joining me this evening, we have Robert Newkirk and Linda
Warren.
I was just seeing if you remembered your last name.
I do.
Because I did not have it written down in front of me, Linda. And this was the quick introduction.
It was a test.
That's it. It was for me. That's just a quick introduction. We will be speaking with them later on. They are helping locally. They helped with the Appalled rally June 4th, and we have another one planned in September. So we'll be talking about that coming up. First, as usual, though, I'd like to do let's do first things first. I found a new hope verse that I came across not too long ago, and I like to share them every once in a while. This comes from Romans chapter 8. For in hope we have been saved. But hope that is seen is not hope. For who hopes for what he already sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, with perseverance we wait eagerly for it. It's Romans 8:24 and 25.
That's deep.
Yeah, it's good. There's lots of hope. And that's why this program is called Recovering Hope, because it is real, and all too often people feel like there is no hope. But as long as there's breath in their lungs, there is definitely hope.
Right.
And just a short review from last week, we had Dr. Eric Morse speak with us. And Dr. Morse owns and operates the Morse Clinics. There's about 8 of them in the state. Nothing here on the coast. But that could be coming down the road. But he does do a lot of good work in the clinics that he has. And it was kind of funny. I had a friend of mine call me up. I think it was last week after the program, and he said, "Yeah, I know Dr. Morse. I went to Dr. Morse." And there was a time where I should explain what he does. He predominantly the major roles that they play is helping people get off of, particularly but not limited to, opiates. with the various medical-assisted treatments that they have. Most people have heard of buprenorphine or Suboxone. It goes by several different names. Buprenorphine is a technical term. Methadone and Vivitrol. Those are the three main drugs that they take. And this friend of mine, Scott, I won't mention your last name, Scott, he was a patient of his, and he had nothing but good things to say about him. Scott actually helped us start Prodigal Recovery. My son was his sponsor back 4 or 5 years ago, and it was just interesting to hear that. But some of the highlights that I took away from that conversation was all levels of care have their place, and I definitely agree with that. Addiction is a very complex disease, and recovery is complex and can be difficult. But anything that is worth doing is going to be hard work. Racial disparity is something that he brought up. And in his words, people with money are being affected and things are getting done now. And we're going to talk about some racial disparity coming up in this conversation because it is very important. Continuity of care after treatment. That's one of my big pet peeves because people go to rehabs or even in a recovery residence like mine and others, and a lot of people, just kind of get left floundering afterwards. And they prescribe these potentially serious and addictive drugs. And if they're just left to flounder, they'll be on them for the rest of their lives, and in many cases, too high of a dose. So that continuity of care is very, very important. He spoke about some of the differences between the methadone, the buprenorphine, and naltrexone, which is the technical term for Vivitrol. And they all have their place. And my son and I, my partner in Prodigal Recovery, we were pretty much against the overuse of these other drugs. But they definitely have their place, and they save lives. I think another statistic here is, being on MATs reduces the risk of death 10 times. MATs are medical-assisted treatment. This is something else that was interesting, frightening but interesting. Being released from jail or prison increases the risk of death 20 times in the first 2 weeks when they're released. That's frightening. So, folks, if you would like to learn more about the Morse clinics, their phone number is 919-676-9699, or you can go to the Morse, M-O-R-S-E, clinics.com. And there's just a couple other things that I wanted to point out before getting into our current interview here. I've been taking some random surveys of people, kind of like no matter where I am, and just, hey, do you know anybody that has been addicted, is addicted, or perhaps has died as a result of drug usage? And it's not all about overdoses anymore. I don't know how up you folks are on the fentanyl problems, but the fentanyl poisonings, they classified as overdose deaths, but it very often, in many cases, it's one and done. They think they're getting a Xanax or even something like Adderall or a pain pill, and it's got lethal doses of fentanyl in it, and they're dead. So this one survey I did in my own little community, I live in North Chase here in Wilmington, and on the North Chase Facebook page, I put out a survey, and I asked that question: Do you know somebody that is addicted, was addicted, or has died? The numbers were staggering. I don't know if I can find that right now, and I won't take the time or bore you with, nobody likes a bunch of statistics, but there was a couple, 11, 12 people they know that have died. Many that have OD'd, and 2 of them said 0, meaning I think they meant no overdose deaths, or they don't know anyone that has had an addictive problem. Well, those 2 people, they both know me. And if they know my story, they know the story of addiction in my family, so they didn't give it a lot of thought, I guess. And I'm not saying that I'm proud of that fact that there were 2 that said 0, but they were wrong. But it seems like everybody knows somebody that has lost a loved one or has been in treatment or is in recovery. And that's really sad.
That's been my experience, too.
Yeah. We're going to be hearing on August 4th, we're going to hear from Derek Maltz. Derek Maltz was the special agent in charge of the United States Department of Justice, the Drug Enforcement Administration, Special Ops Division. And he does not have experience personally in addiction, and thankfully hasn't lost any family member. But I think that's going to be a very interesting conversation that's coming up August 4th. And then I had something here in my news segment. For the record, and I don't know if I wrote this or somebody else did, to be honest with you. For the record, illegal street drugs are always dangerous. Many times you're not sure of the compound mixtures you're getting, and there is always the risk of a substance being laced with something much more potent than what you bargained for.
Exactly.
And there are plenty of other new strains of drugs that can be just as deadly. One such narcotic is a new chemical that's being called benzodope. No, I did not write this. I copied this. Benzodope recently earned some coverage on the Vice news site. I don't know what that is, V-I-C-E, with a particular call out to the amount of fatal overdoses that are tied to it. Classified as a synthetic opioid, this dangerous new mixture includes elements like fentanyl, etiozolam, and black market benzodiazepines, which is Xanax, Klonopin, which greatly amplify the likelihood of overdosing. That's just what we needed, a new drug. It's been reported that this drug causes more fatal ODs than fentanyl, which has been a tremendous culprit in the rise of U.S. drug fatalities. And even more alarming is the fact that the life-saving opioid reversal drug naloxone, a.k.a. Narcan, is powerless against it. As per Fox News on July 1st, 4,000% increase in fentanyl compared to 2018. 41 pounds seized as compared to 1 pound in 2018, and triple the number of deaths. On 60 Minutes, they say carfentanil is elephant tranquilizer. Mail order from China, you can get it sent USPS. And I put 6 months old. That information was 6 months old. This is something that's really, really sad. And Joe, I don't know if you got a way to do this, but every 5 minutes, if you got a bell in there, you can ring every 5 minutes. We're going to find out. I'm putting them to the test. That's how often somebody dies in this country. Drug-related deaths. Yeah. Every 5 minutes. And I was speaking to a woman on the way here today that's organizing a rally in Washington on August 27th at the Chinese Embassy. And she said 90,000 of those 96,000 deaths from last year were fentanyl-related. It's amazing. And this is the last thing that I wanted to read here. This was from a woman, her first name is Patricia. Behind my smile is a hurting heart. Behind my laugh, I'm falling apart. Look closely at me and you will see the person I am isn't me. No, that person died January 28, 2019, the day my child died. I still smile, just not as often. I still laugh, just not as loud. Absolutely nothing will ever be the same without my heavenly. But I'm not the only one. It's sad to say there are hundreds of thousands of mothers just like me. Every 5.7 minutes, a mother loses her child to overdose or fentanyl poisoning in this country. Where's the outrage? Where's the justice?
Wow.
Yeah. And like Judge Judy says, and that's my open.
Yeah.
So, you guys, Linda, if you would like to go first and
Okay.
give us a little background about you.
Just in the news recently was the story about most of our fentanyl coming from China. When the United States started to pressure China about that fact, they decided to ship the ingredients. Don't
Right.
combine fentanyl, but ship the ingredients.
Right.
They ship them straight to Mexico or South America, where the drugs are reconstituted. However, there's no quality control, and so there's no accountability about how much fentanyl you're getting in a compressed pill.
Right.
It's a pig and a poke. You don't know what you're getting, just as you were saying.
Russian roulette.
Russian roulette.
Yeah, these are not exactly pharmacists that they're dealing with here.
Indeed not.
Right.
Indeed not.
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do is put the clamps on China to stop selling the ingredients. for fentanyl and try to stop the flow that way. But it was pouring out of China in pill form, and then once the pressure came, then they started shipping it in its ingredient form.
Yeah, and that's part of what I did not understand, and I've heard this a few times, that China sends, or is it all the ingredients or some of the ingredients? And
Most
then
of the
Mexico,
ingredients.
has the other component or components, as though that's any less dangerous or better than sending it already mixed.
That's right.
So it's just a technicality that they're
That's
able
right.
to do this. I had heard some months ago that there was actually a ship, I think that was, not the word seized, but discovered carrying these ingredients from China, and I never was able to find out, what the consequences were of that.
I don't know. I never heard that one. I can't say.
Yeah. Follow the money. Right?
Oh, follow the money.
Follow the money.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Linda, you have a personal story to share about what got you into this.
I became involved with APPALLED, which is the National Association of People Against Lethal Drugs. We're mostly concerned about synthetic opioids and fentanyl. It seems that the word is absolutely correct. It's poisoning. It's murderous. It's far more than just an overdose. My granddaughter was 24 years old, the mother of 3 young children, had been addicted throughout all 3 pregnancies, so all 3 children were born addicted, and spent their time in NICU trying to withdraw from the drugs. My granddaughter eventually died of an overdose of heroin and Xanax. Who knows if it really was Xanax? And she died in the most undignified way. She died on the bathroom floor of a Burger King in Fayetteville. It was heart-rendering because for years prior to that, the family had poured everything it had into her recovery. Every dollar, every ounce of love, every resource that we had. 4 stints in rehab didn't cure her. The unending love of her family didn't cure her. Nothing could have cured her except for one thing. If she had been surrounded by her friends and community who were supportive of her efforts at staying clean and walked with her in that walk and had a 0 tolerance for drugs, I think Shelby would still be alive today. And that's why I think the power lies in community. That's why I'm so excited about what we're about to do in September. On September the 12th, from 3 to 5:30, we're going to have a community revival. When we did our event on the steps of City Hall in June, we handed out flashlights. And Robert, if I'm talking too much, you just jump in.
Oh, I'm going to give him a chance. Don't worry.
Okay. we handed out flashlights, mini flashlights. They were keychain flashlights. And they were inscribed with, I am the light, you are the light, we are the light. And I am the light refers to our personal responsibility to keep our actions and our values high, to make sure that the person that we're showing the world is worthy of showing and is leading an honorable life. You are the light gives the responsibility to the families to make sure that they're raising healthy, strong families with 0 tolerance for drugs. And we are the community means we all have the responsibility for creating an environment that's vibrant and upbeat and enlightened and healthy. That we create a community that we want to live in.
Right.
That this is a place where everyone has a place and everyone is a partner. We are the light.
Absolutely.
And our event in September will be the We Are the Light Community Revival. And I'm so excited about it because it's going to be an old-fashioned revival with gospel music and preachers and speakers and testimonies. And today I got excited because we signed up a children's gospel choir.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So we'll have everything from barbershop to gospel to old-time music and speakers who can speak to the different aspects of creating a healthy community, both from a drug perspective and from a race perspective and from an equality perspective. I'm really excited about that.
I can tell. And that's good. And that's a Temple Baptist.
That's going to be a Temple Baptist Church, which sits at the corner of 18th Street and Market. It's 1801 Market Street.
Okay.
That'll be September the 12th from 3 to 5:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, very well done. And Robert, before I ask you a little bit about your background stuff, there was something that I had written to properly introduce you, but, if I don't read the notes, they're no good. So, so here they are. Yeah, this is live, folks. Addiction is a multifaceted issue. I have focused on the immediate and obvious problems associated with this pandemic since I've been doing this program. But there's much more since we're dealing with very complex organisms. These organisms are otherwise known as humans. Part of that condition is the issue of race. Seems like we hear so much of that today when it has nothing to do with much of society's ills. But it does have a lot to do with the problem of addiction. And Robert, I noticed your tan's a little better than mine, so I think that you can speak on this issue. And if you would like to share a little background first, or you go with it, my friend.
About the tan?
About the tan and the racial disparity. But before you get into that, what brings you into this this field, if you will?
It was first, thank you, Mark.
You're very welcome.
For having Linda and myself here to share our work, our interest, and we have been impacted differently, but we have the same vision and same conviction. Mine is in prevention and awareness, and it was in 1993. I'm returning from Buffalo, New York. My marriage of 15 years has come to a halt.
Oh, so you're a former New Yorker too?
No, I'm originally from Wilmington, but but my work landed me in Buffalo in 1985. So when I come back, I come back to my mother's house on Red Cross Street, and I was I wouldn't say depressed, but I was down. And my children at that time were of age. They were old enough, and we had planted a good seed in the trainings. But for 2 weeks, I had to make up my mind to do something and to lift myself. It came to me, I need to find out and understand the plight of black men. I was feeling terrible, and being an ordained minister and who had pastored for at least 18 years. Oh, wow. Here I am, one who is supposed to lift others, and I need to be lifted. And so I thought about going to Raleigh and to understand the plight of black men. And
I forgot to tell you to silence those things.
So thank you. Okay. And so what happened, I get to Raleigh. I decide to go to the Raleigh Rescue Mission. Why? Because a lot of the black men, most of the black men who were coming out of prison were first sent to the Raleigh Rescue Mission as a home base. They had to come there. And 90 to 95% of the residents were black men who had been in prison, also who had drug addiction problems or something of that nature. And so I was there to try to volunteer, and believe it or not, in the 30 years, I was the first black minister to come in and to volunteer my service.
Wow.
And they were amazed, and most of the ministers there were Southern Baptists, ministers and very fine people. Dr. Pritchard was one of the co-founders, and he welcomed me there.
Good.
And within 2 months, they asked me to join the staff to be one of the counselors there. And I became very involved. And because talking to them, it was different. Now, there were white men, young men there, but mostly blacks. And they came from a different background, and they confided in me in a way that they would not confide in others. And they were afraid and they were nervous and needed to be treated with respect as human beings, regardless to their choices that they had made.
Right, those human organisms.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So after a year and a half, I was led to start a Victory House. That's a transitional house for men who actually wanted to get jobs. And many of the local businesses, the Holiday Inn at the airport, opened their doors, and we were able to get them jobs.
Nice.
And we started the Victory House. We had rooms enough to house at least 14. We had a house manager, young man, master's degree. And there were men who had done well in life, but I did not understand the effects of drugs. And so it was very easy for them to get established in the house. If I had counseled them, then they could come. And what helped me, 16 Pender Street, I'll never forget, on a Sunday morning, I go by the house to collect the rent for the week. And what startled me, it started me in a new path of prevention awareness, is that even the gentleman who was over those men was lying on the floor. He had relapsed. And I opened the door. I walked in and looked around. I said, "What happened?" He said, "Someone robbed me last night and robbed us." That was his story.
Yeah, that was the rent money.
That was the rent money.
Yeah.
So I didn't say anything. I turned around, walked out the door, walked away, because there was nothing that I could do for them, and I began to move in a different direction and to get involved with prevention awareness, to create platforms, media platforms, that will allow us to inform those who have not entered into a vicious cycle, to understand the importance of their life and take care of it. So Linda and I, we belong to the same church. We are deacons, and we've become friends, confidants. And she's a terrible person to work for. So
She gets it done.
but she gets it done. And I tell her, there's no one else is going to work for you or work with you.
So don't even try, huh?
Don't try. So you got to take care of me. I understand you, but sometimes you just go too far. But she's such a thorough person, so committed and so convicted, and she's good at what she does.
Yeah, I can see that.
And we are proud. Wilmington, I know Temple Baptist is proud to have her leadership, her vision, her conviction, her set of skills, and all of that. And so now with the platforms, the media platforms, Sir Robert's Fashion, Wellness, and Health Magazine.
And we want to hear more about that.
And that's almost here now, because the magazine, even though it's called Fashion, it's a model for not only clothes, but a model for health, for wellness and fitness and all of that. And that's very important to us. But it is a platform that I use along with the Prevention Awareness Network, which consists of LCDs, liquid crystal displays, for which will go into public schools.
Okay, I'll tell you what. hold that thought. We're going to take a short break.
Okay.
And I definitely want to hear more about your fashion. You should see this guy. I mean, look, he looks pretty slick right now, but you left your sports jacket on. First time I've seen you without a sports jacket on. I've only seen him 3 times, folks. But we will. We're going to take a quick one here, and we'll learn more about, was it Robert's Fashion?
Sir Robert.
Sir Roberts, excuse me.
Robert. Please don't forget the sir.
I will not forget it, sir.
Thank
We'll be right back, folks.
you.
Besides my involvement in Prodigal recovery, I'm also in the construction business. I say that to say this. When we have tropical storms or hurricanes, the real hard, difficult, expensive, and dangerous work is usually the result of trees falling on homes or other personal property. Hurricane season is not the only time to get prepared for this. As a matter of fact, it's before and after hurricane season that you need to get prepared. My son Chris started his tree business called Climb Pro Expert Tree Care after Hurricane Florence. Chris has all the equipment and manpower to take on even the most challenging jobs. With over 20 years of combined experience, Climb Pro LLC can safely remove any unwanted hazardous trees from your property. They also offer tree pruning, elevation, dead wood removal, and other expert tree care services. Don't wait until you have a tree emergency. Visit climbpro.com, that's climb with a K. Check them out on Facebook or call Chris Marcley at 910-540-5249. Mention this ad for a 10% discount. Constructive Solutions is the name of my construction company. It's called Constructive Solutions because I focus on solving what it is my customers need and want, and there's always a way to get the job done. We're in our 25th year serving our community. We handle all types of home improvements and repairs, literally from your crawl space to your roof, as well as commercial alterations. We're a small, family-owned and operated business. My wife works in the office, and my son Dylan is my right and left-hand man. Combined, we have over 70 years of experience. Dylan and I face every project or challenge that comes our way. I learned my trade from my father, who was a builder until his eyesight failed him. I was showing some employees a picture of my father working on the second-story eaves of his home, and I said, "Can you believe he's 82 and up on a homemade scaffold?" They said, "He's 82? I replied, "Yes, and he's blind. Don't ever tell me it can't be done." So if you want quality, professional service for your home or business, give us a call at 910-231-6020 or go to markmarkley.com. I don't know if the bell ringing went over the air or not, but we are going to be, and now in the course of this program, and this is sad, folks, I'm not making light of this, approximately 5 people have died of drug-related deaths in the half hour that we've been on the air. And as we continue here, I would like to, as a reminder to everyone, to have some kind of a chime, a bell, whether I can do it or we can program the computer to do it. I don't know. Joe's pretty good with this stuff. But just as that reminder, and as I continue to do this program, prayerfully that bell will ring less and less, and someday maybe not at all. Well, we're speaking here, folks, with Linda Warren and Robert Newkirk. And before we took a break here, Robert was telling us about part of his prevention awareness program and the name of the, I guess, soon-to-be-released entity, Sir Robert Fashion, Wellness, and Health.
Yes.
So, take it from there, Rob.
This is something that's been, we've been working on it for the last 10 years, the brand, the logo for the other mediums. Mm-hmm. We already had gotten a contract with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg School District to put the LCDs in their 135 schools, which would actually provide positive messages along with the ad council. But each city has its own demons, So we would address those particular issues.
Explain the LCDs. You said that before the break.
They're liquid crystal displays that you see in the stores that we can program positive messages and images.
Okay.
And they will be
almost like a TV screen?
Like a TV screen.
Right. Okay.
And the children will have access to positive messages, preventions. This is why it is so important that we have the awareness message, and it needs to be out 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's what we believe in, and it needs to be where the children will see it often, and we were able to convince the schools. So I shut that down in 2009 because there were still other platforms. So the prevention, so the magazine itself is different in that all of this is for profit now, because I've gone the 501(c), and I pretty much know that the narrative is lost when you are using investors and their monies. And the real message is prevention, and you have to control that. And so
awareness.
And awareness. So what I learned is that if I can control the narrative, the messaging, because I know how important it is, this is the route that we want to go. So the magazine gives me the control of the narrative and the messaging, and to make the choices without having people who are coming in only concerned about the bottom line.
Dealing with the board.
Yeah, dealing with the board.
Yeah.
So now we're in a good place to have Linda Warren as a partner. Her conviction, her work ethics is just what I've been looking for, and now getting the businesses, the churches. And so if I can talk about September the 12th, and this is something that has never happened, because I grew up in Wilmington, Brunswick County, attended Williston Senior High School. It was 1968 that the schools were integrated.
Okay.
So
you were there.
I was there,
Wow.
not for that.
Right.
It was 66. But now you still have on Sunday morning the most segregated time of the week.
Right.
It's when churches meet. We all go to our church, and that's the place where we've not yet broken the glass ceiling.
Yeah.
And so the September 12th with a Paul gives us a commonality. It doesn't matter whether you're a Methodist, Baptist, Pentecostal, Lutheran, or any of those denominations. We all are hurting from the loss of someone, or we know situations.
Yeah, this is something that is absolutely, faith is important, but your particular faith is irrelevant.
Right.
Political ideals are important, but when it comes to recovery, absolutely irrelevant. And I'm sad to say, I wouldn't mention their names, but there are people that will not be part of this program because we are on a conservative station. Imagine that, Joe. Or perhaps some of my faith convictions.
Yeah.
You know, and like, come on, if somebody needs help, somebody's addicted, you see, whether regardless of an addiction, you see somebody, are you going to say who'd you vote for? Or where do you go to church? Oh, you don't go to church? Goodbye. Remember the Good Samaritan? I mean, come on. So I'm sorry to interrupt you there,
That's
Robert.
good. That's good, because when I left to go into the military in 1966, I started out in a Pentecostal church. We go into the Air Force. I get a rude awakening, a wonderful awakening, because my roommate is not black.
Uh-oh.
my roommate is a white dude, and he's Sam, the Mad Russian. And there were things about him, but he
was a White Russian.
Yes, and we were, and it was something, because the military didn't see that, and it just opened my eyes, because the military was different than the civilian life.
Right.
And it helped me to really cross over and to deal with my own stereotypes that I had.
So the military handled it in a good way. You were individuals.
Yes.
You were both soldiers.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Right, but
good.
we depended on each other, regardless to our culture, regardless to our faith, religion, or the tenets of our faith. So I was able to transcend, move beyond that. So what is happening on September the 12th is a glass as my friend Jimmy Melvin would say, is breaking the glass ceiling, because there are many blacks who have driven by Temple Baptist and have never been on the inside. And so this is not just bringing awareness to the drug issues and that sort of thing, but there will be some for the first time in all of their lives will come into Temple Baptist Church.
That was my first time at our meeting last week. It's a great church.
Yeah.
But that's why I say multifaceted. This is a multifaceted issue. It's got many faces.
It knows no boundaries.
Knows no boundaries. And it is unfortunate that, because it's, I don't know, I'm not sure of the statistics, but it used to be that, many years ago, somebody that was an addict. I mean, fentanyl may not even have been invented back then. I don't know. Right. But, there was a stereotype, black or white. It was, if you will, a typical homeless person, that they were really in bad shape. But there are many people, some of whom I've worked hand in hand with. And I didn't even know it. We were doing a job at Stepping Stone Manor 20 years ago. My sister was the manager. And she said, I had this guy help me. His name was Joe. She said, Mark, why does it seem like Joe should be staying here? I didn't even know what a halfway house was then, okay? But she said, why does it seem like Joe? Well, Gene was right. Turned out he was a heroin addict.
Wow.
I didn't even know it. I worked with the guy, I don't know how long, probably weeks, maybe even longer. But the time that he decided to get high in my bathroom, and my wife was the only one home, and he comes out of the bathroom, could barely even stand up, scared the heck out of my wife.
I'll bet.
I was able to cut him off, take the keys to the truck, and said goodbye. I wish I knew more, to get the guy help. But, it's you just don't know. I was talking to somebody some weeks ago, and they said, when I lived in the city, I think he was talking about Manhattan, and you would see. And I said, yeah, but stop there, because when you lived in the city, there are many people dressed like Robert here, shirt, tie, typically a sports jacket, that don't look like an addict. But, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
That's very true.
So, September 12th, this should be a really good event. And, Linda, would you like to touch on some of the people, the speakers, the children's gospel choir? I'm sorry, Robert, was there other things that you were? Okay.
Yes, I'd love to, Mark. Thank you. We're going to start out after a silent moment of prayer for those who have been lost, followed by a joyous church choir who will sing upbeat and inspiring music, followed by speakers. And our speakers are, these are who have been invited and have worked with us before, so I have every assurance they would again. Mayor Bill Saffo, the District Attorney Ben David, Judge James Faison, Chief of Police Donnie Williams, several others that we haven't heard from yet, so I'm inclined not to say anything yet.
That's okay.
A speaker will be followed by more music, who will be followed by a speaker, and then more music, and then a speaker, and then more music. And we'll have some testimonials in there from parents who have been through the experience of trying to help a child who was addicted to drugs. Some who have been successful and some who have not. Hoping to inspire other parents there. If there's anyone, we have a 250-seat sanctuary, and I'm hoping that there will be someone in every single seat. I want to fill that sanctuary, and I want to raise the roof with the music. The testimonies will be heart-wrenching, I know that. Anyone who is there because they've had a loved one who has been addicted to drugs, I hope that they'll bring a picture of them. I would love to see the pictures, and I would like to remember them. I certainly want to honor their memory, and so it would be wonderful to see pictures of people who have been lost to drugs or who have won their fight with drugs for now. So it's going to be upbeat, positive, life affirming. We're going to pass out the flashlights again. The community needs to understand that they are the light, and there's a role for every single person in the community to play. And we all have a fundamental role of making this city of Wilmington a healthy, strong, enlightened community where everyone has a place.
Yeah.
And that's we are the light.
That's very important, and I believe it's doable.
I do believe it's doable too.
It's taken a long time to get to where we are in so many other cities in this great country. So this isn't an overnight thing, and I know that you know that. And like I said before, about following the money, it's so many ways that people profit by addiction, and of course the sale of drugs.
Yes.
Yes. From the time before it comes across the border.
Absolutely.
The border agents that are paid.
Absolutely.
Then it comes in here, and the hospitals, the rehabilitation centers, the lawyers, the doctors, the big pharma, the one largely responsible for a lot of this. And they still benefit because of the type of medications that somebody like Dr. Morse, trying to help people. But those medications are expensive.
Yes.
If you don't have insurance, they cost a lot of money.
Well, there are states now that are suing Big Pharma.
There are.
And I'm proud to say North Carolina is one of them.
Yep.
Wilmington is involved in that lawsuit. We are trying to hold them accountable for the damage that they've created.
Right.
And the money that we secure from those lawsuits will be put into treatment facilities and treatment avenues.
Yeah, I hope so. I know that, and I've said this a lot on this program, starting last year. I started this in October. And statistics from October, I looked into how much money has been put into COVID, right? We don't even want to hear the word anymore. We're sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
But back in October, it was $16 trillion.
Wow.
Divide that by the population of the United States. This was before the most recent, printing of monies, trillions of dollars. But back then, divided by the population of this country, was almost $50,000 for every man, woman, and child. So these lawsuits, I think North Carolina was the state awarded $16 million.
I believe so.
What's the population of North Carolina? Anybody do some quick math? I just wonder what that turns out to. Now, not every man and woman and child has been affected, thank God, but a lot of them have. And I think it was possibly in San Francisco that the number of drug overdose deaths surpassed that of COVID. But yet they make COVID, by the grace of God, is temporary. I hope it's gone forever, never comes back.
Yes.
I'm not very confident in that because we don't even know how it got here. It's a whole other subject. However, we do know China was involved, and we do know China's involved in fentanyl. Okay? How many people have they killed? Many of whom, and this might have been a conspiracy theory, but many of whom are of people of fighting age, right?
That's right.
Younger generation.
That's right, the younger generation.
Mostly men, but plenty of women. So without firing a shot, they've annihilated hundreds of thousands of Americans.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's so unfortunate. And you're speaking of rallies. I just want to give a plug to one that's coming up in Washington D.C. on August 27th. I don't have the statistics in front of me or the exact information, but this might be good enough for now. It's going to be at the Chinese embassy because they're going to be protesting, right? And it's being put on. I forget the name of the organization. I should have. I'll have more information as it gets closer. But I pretty much made up my mind today that I will be going to that.
Oh, good.
There's going to be a lot of people that are really doing so much hard work. People that have been in this fight for 20 years. Dan Schneider, the pharmacist, is one of them. But there's many people that are doing as much, if not more, than Dan. And Dan just happened to make that documentary called The Pharmacist. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but that got over 100 million views.
Yes.
So there'll be a lot of great speakers, a lot of good information, and I just don't think that I can miss it. And hopefully, it too will make a difference.
Okay. Mark, may I also add, as we are setting up to receive support, Temple Baptist has given us the okay for those who would like to support financially to make their checks out to Temple Baptist,
Mm-hmm.
but memo it to a Paul.
Uh-huh.
And very soon we're going to be set up where you can send it directly to a Paul.
Okay, good.
But we do need your support.
Okay.
My businesses or entities is set up where we can set aside a certain portion of monies to go back into the community. A Paul is one of those, along with child abuse, domestic violence, and literacy. Those are the four advocacies for which my organization will be donating. But we do need your support. It's going to grow. We need to have this information available as often as possible, but we're just saying to you until we're in place, if there are volunteers, please get in touch with Linda Warren, and we certainly will need you to get involved, and we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we do, and I'll be glad to cut a special promo for it.
Marvelous.
Yeah, and now in the meantime, for somebody listening now, or if they're gonna, they can, these programs are podcasts after the show. To whom do they contact? Or I was going to say, to whom do they make the checks payable to? But you already said Temple Baptist. But what's the best way for them to reach either one or both of you?
If they need more information, my name is Linda Warren, and my phone number is 910-398-1668.
Okay. And Robert?
Contact us through Linda Warren.
Okay. In that case, repeat Linda's number if you know it.
Well, I don't
You just press a button on your phone, right?
910-698-1668.
698-1668. Okay.
And if possible, Mark, if they want to contact you and
Sure.
make the donation via
Prodigal Recovery or Recovering Hope. Yeah, and I forget to announce, who I am sometimes. But I am, as I said in the beginning of the program here, my son and I operate Prodigal Recovery, a recovery host for men, recovery home for men, and this program just was born out of that business. But you can go to recoveringhope.org. You can email me there. If you would like to make a donation, there is a donate tab on that page, or if you'd like to be a sponsor of the program. But you can also call about any issues that you may have. And the 338-3795, that rings on my cell phone. That's the business line for Prodigal Recovery. But you can call that number anonymously because my caller ID says Prodigal Recovery. If you want to remain anonymous, if you don't want to tell me your name. But look, folks, I don't have all the answers. I'm not a counselor. I've been impacted by drug addiction in my family rather harshly. And that's why I'm in the business, because my passion is to help people know that there's hope, to maybe point them in the right directions, and to come alongside them. If we can give them some help and some hope, that's what we want to do. So please, and if you're writing down too many numbers, you can just remember recoveringhope.org. You can email me. You can listen to podcasts. As a matter of fact, I wanted to remind you for last week's program, for those that may need more information about the medical assisted treatments that are available. Dr. Morse's podcast is up, and in a day or two, sometimes it's sooner, this podcast will be up, and we can we can make a difference. Like I said, it took a long time to get where we are. Takes a long time. Well, maybe not a very long time. I was going to say for people to become addicted, but it happens for all kinds of reasons.
Yes.
Genetics, social situations, traumas that
Absolutely.
people experience. And I think everybody would say, never thought it would happen to my family.
Absolutely.
And I can say that. I remember when a friend of mine told me that his son was smoking pot. I was thinking, and he says, oh, everybody's going to do it. I was like, not my kids. Yeah, no, not my kids. Right.
Right.
Well, if that's what you're thinking,
Yeah.
you might want to look a little further. And this, the issue of prevention.
Yes.
I suggest to people, get involved, and depending on the age of, if you have teenagers, checking their phones, looking at those text messages, Snapchat. So many stories of people dying because they bought pills on Snapchat. I'm going to be speaking with a gentleman named Jimmy Puerta, I believe it is, next month, and we spoke for an hour on the phone. And he told me the story of when his son died. He did have some issues. They sent him to a wilderness camp for 2 months. Very expensive, but he seemed to do better. Got out of that, was doing well, had some wisdom teeth pulled, I think, pain meds.
Right back where he started.
And, on March 31st of last year, he told his father, I'm going to go walk the dog. His father thought that was a little odd because he never used to walk the dog without not being told. April 1st, went into his room, and he was incoherent. He was, they revived him. They kept him alive artificially. And on April 6th, they had to make the decision to pull the plug.
Oh.
And when he told me that his mother, the boy's mother, was laying in bed beside him when he took his last breath at 5:08 a.m.
That rips your heart out.
It does. I mean, look, folks, you can't hear this without, having empathy, feeling bad for these people. But that's all well and good. But do something. Take some action. Mm-hmm. Come to this revival on September 12th at Temple Baptist Church. Mm-hmm. You can reach out to myself, recoveringhope.org, Linda, 910-698-1668. And
Mark, maybe I correct that. That's 398-1668.
Did I write it down wrong? Did you tell me wrong? We're going to play this back and we'll find out.
We'll find
out. All right.
out.
Now that we confused everybody, 398-1668 for Linda Warren to get more information, or if you'd like to help support this effort. Come on down, folks.
Please come.
Yes. Even if you have a church home, if you don't have a church home, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's a beautiful sanctuary. And I was wondering, one of the first songs to open up with, can I make a request?
Oh, please.
Did you hear the song that we opened up the show with?
Yes, but I couldn't identify it.
Raise a hallelujah. Oh, my wife told me never sing. On the air anyway. Sorry, babe. Raise a hallelujah. Right? I mean, wouldn't that be
Wouldn't that be great?
I think the ceiling might just blow off.
Yeah.
We have the Cape Fear Chordsmen who are going to sing "This Little Light of Mine."
That's appropriate.
Isn't that
That's
appropriate?
Yeah. Well, any parting comments? We got a few minutes left.
Mark, let me say this. Let me please say this.
Yes.
That this is important to me, as I told you at the top of my conversation, understanding the plight of black men. One of the major platforms in the black community is the black church. And we want to engage black leadership and so that they can use their platform.
Right.
And because we make up 12.5 to 13% of the population of this country. But when it comes to any kind of crisis and deaths, we die disproportionately.
Yeah.
And this is very important, and that's because of a lack of education and awareness. So it is our responsibility to use that platform to help educate, inform, prevent. And so this is something that I am strongly convicted by, that I reach out first. There is a saying, there's a verse, charity begins at home, and then it spreads abroad. And my father used to say, don't try to be something outside of the house that you're not on the inside. So I have a responsibility to reach out to my community first through those platforms to make sure that we are doing what we are supposed to do to change the numbers. We must do that.
Well, one at a time, absolutely. So I say that we end the program the way we ended that rally. Do you remember how we did that? Do you have your flashlights?
I've given my flashlight away 18 times.
Mine's in the truck, but okay, without the flashlights. I think Robert's got his. He's looking.
I got mine.
Every time someone
He's
sees
got
my
his.
flashlight, I
All
give
right,
it to him.
Together now. We're out of time.
You ready?
I am the light.
You are the light. We are the light.
Thank you for tuning in, folks. God bless. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I raise a hallelujah in the presence of my enemies. I raise a hallelujah louder than the unbelief.
Bringing you the best local talk radio shows, Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7 FM, WFBT, Carolina Beach.
This show is also sponsored by Dr. Tony Maglione. Dr. Tony is a cardiologist practicing in Wilmington. He accepts Medicare patients, and his office is located across the street from New Hanover Regional Medical Center at 2032 17th Street. The office number is 202-1071. Dr. Tony is an author whose last book is Rules for Conservative Patriots, and it can be purchased on Amazon. His website is www.drtonymag.com.
O'Leary's Auto